memorized. I just forgot it. Okay. Pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, notice is hereby given that a final hearing before this commission is appealable to the Chancery Court of Davidson County or the Circuit Court of Davidson County via a statutory writ of certiorari. You're advised to seek your own independent legal counsel to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements are met. You should also seek independent legal advice regarding the applicability of the writ of certiorari to the specific decision of the Historic Zoning Commission. First of all, I'd like to get a motion about last month's minutes.
Move to approve.
And second?
Second.
All those in favor? All opposed? Okay. Approval of minutes from last month. We have a couple of agenda changes. First, we'll start with the consent agenda, but 2114 19th Avenue South is taken off the consent agenda and will be the first order of new business. Also, on new business, 1808 Ordway Place will be off the agenda. Okay, if we get the presentation on the consent agenda.
There are 7 items remaining on the consent agenda. The first one is 1112 Forest Avenue. That's in the Laughlin Springs district. The application is to demolish a rear structure and then partial demolition of some rear additions. New construction, also demolition of an accessory structure, and new construction of an addition and a new accessory structure. The application involves a reduction to the side setback. 702 Shelby Avenue is an application for detached accessory dwelling unit, so it's a detached accessory structure that has a dwelling unit above it. 809 Fatherland is an application for new construction for an addition and for partial demolition. 1517 Paris Avenue is an application for an addition, partial demolition, and for a setback reduction. 2918 Westmoreland Drive is an application for rear and side additions that involve a ridge raise. 119 Blackburn Avenue is an application to amend a project that the Commission approved last month at the May meeting. And 113 Lindsley Park Drive is an application for a rear addition. Staff finds that all of the above-mentioned projects meet their respective design guidelines, and we recommend approval of these items in the consent agenda.
Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions or any comments about any of the items that are on the consent agenda? Okay. I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda, or is there any comments from the commissioners at all?
Move approval based on staff recommendation of the consent agenda.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Consent agenda is approved. Okay, we'll move on to new business, and we will start with the first 2114 19th Avenue South. I'd like to also say, well, we'll go ahead and get started with that. We'll go on to the public after that.
This item was removed from the consent agenda based on public comment that was received via email and forwarded to you. In terms of materials, and it's for an accessory structure on a building that you approved earlier this year. And in terms of materials and design, the accessory unit matches the existing house. The location meets the design guidelines as it's located at the rear of the lot near the alley. And the applicant is requesting a setback reduction of that rear alley, off the rear alley. And staff found that to be appropriate since historically accessory structures were located close to or even on the property line. An accessory structure is also required to be subordinate to the primary dwelling, and this garage will be 9 feet shorter than the existing building. Staff recommends approval of the accessory structure at 2114 19th Avenue South with the condition that staff review final specifications of windows and doors and the color of the metal roof. We are no longer recommending a condition that the garage have 2 separate doors, as there is an issue with actually entering the garage if they were separated, and it faces the alley and really won't be seen. With these conditions met, the project meets the design guidelines for accessory buildings in Belmont-Hillsborough Neighborhood Conservation Zoning Overlay.
Okay, thank you. Any questions to staff?
Why was this pulled from the consent? I'm sorry.
We received public comment via email, and so thought that there may be people here who wanted to speak to it. And you received that comment via email.
Okay, is the owner or applicant here like to say anything? And just, this is my journal too. When you come to the podium, please just say your name and your address. Appreciate it for everything.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Ward with Allard Ward Architects here representing the owners of 2114 19th Avenue South. Brett Sheriff and Jenkins Harding are building this house. They already live on 19th. We didn't get the garage approved for the house. We're sort of in a hurry. But anyway, we're anxious to move forward with it now that the house is getting ready to be dried in. And what we wanted to do here was just a standard two-car garage. The footprint's about 720 square feet. Part of that is a little 10 by 12 little porch there that's off the back of it, so that makes about 120 square feet of it. It is sort of a story and a half. There's a little room up there. It's not a dwelling space. It's just sort of a rec room that will probably be finished later. We did want to position it as far to the the north side of the property line as we could. As you can see in that plan there is a power pole. It can't be positioned to the south side of the property because you would hit the power pole when you back out of the garage. And given it's an urban lot and it is only a 50-foot urban lot, we didn't want to take full advantage of our property depth, so we wanted to push it to the side. And because the alley, as you can also see in that photograph, is a little crooked as it goes through there, we wanted to maintain at least 10 to 12 feet from the alley, which we could do with a 5-foot setback. So we're not really asking for much other than that. I will say, like I said, the footprint's about 728 square feet, and I think their overall lot coverage is somewhere around 38%. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions to the applicant?
You are asking us to approve 2 setback infringements?
Just one.
One. Which one? The
rear.
The rear.
From 5 to 10. From a 10-foot to a 5-foot.
The 5-foot setback on the side, where?
It's a 3-foot setback on the property line to the north, and that is by code. It's the one we're asking for is the 5-foot to the rear instead of the 10. Like I said, which we wouldn't ask for, but as you can see, the alley's a little off. The alley doesn't run down the center of the right-of-way. So our garage is about 12 feet off the alley.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is anyone else would like to speak for or against this project? Yep, please come forward and, like I said, state your name and address.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The applicant, or the owner of the property, represents me in the sale of my home. I'm going to recuse myself from deliberation on this project.
Okay, no problem.
My name is Melinda Fish, and I live at 2112 19th Avenue South, the structure that's directly to the north of this property. And I think you may have, I don't know if you all received a copy of my letter, but I'd like to go ahead and read it, and I have an addendum when I'm finished. I'm writing in regard to the additional development of this property. My husband and I are the homeowners of the adjacent property, and we purchased our home in 1987 and have raised our 2 children in this neighborhood. I attended the December 2000 hearing when this property was first being developed by Tradition Homes. At that time, I stated that the size of the home and detached garage was too much on too little land. I maintain that position with the current request. However, when I attended the hearing here, I was told the guidelines are what the guidelines are, and lots can be developed with a 43% footprint. I am hopeful that the Belmont-Hillsborough neighbors will at some point challenge this percentage. I attended a meeting in late fall 2011 hosted by Belmont University, attended by members of the Metro Historical Commission, Joyce Searcy of Belmont, and Keith Durbin of the Mayor's Office, among others. When neighbors were asked what they loved about the Belmont-Hillsborough neighborhood, the overwhelming response was the mature trees and green space. I am in total agreement with that response. When we were house hunting in 1987, 25 years ago, the tree-lined streets and old homes appeal to our family. The trees provide visual and auditory buffers within the hustle and bustle of urban living. The proposed two-story or one-and-a-half-story garage will drastically impact this buffer. On the west side of our property stands a mature hackberry tree that is approximately 65 feet tall with an approximate 30-foot drip line. Based on the plans we have received, the garage will have a direct impact on the root system and overall healthiness of this tree. The developer has already asked to trim limbs on the tree. However, any trimming will have a direct impact on the power and stature of this tree, something so desired by families who live in this neighborhood. Therefore, I respectfully request that the Commission deny the current placement of this garage and ask the developer to move it away from the northern property line to the center of this property where there are no trees. There is a utility pole on the east alley property line. However, there is adequate space for the garage to be placed nearer the pole and thus minimize damage to the tree. Trees are vastly important to the quality of life in our neighborhood, not garages. When the construction dust and noise is done, my family and many of our neighbors will still be living in this neighborhood and living with the consequences of decisions made by your commission. We are the ones who live here, not the developers. And as of yesterday afternoon, concrete footers were poured right behind the house. We were told that we were told that they were for an outside shower, which is not on the original plan, and the concrete footers are directly on our property line. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that wants to speak for or against this project? Okay. Close public hearing. Any discussion amongst commissioners?
Mentioning the 43% coverage. Oh, sorry, he took care of it for me. But it was stated by Michael that the coverage now is 38. It's the 38%. Is that somewhat accurate?
We don't really look at the lot coverage. That's a code issue, but we do look at open space.
Okay, all right.
I think likewise with the tree, although we definitely we all would encourage it. I don't think it's anything that's in the guidelines that we can enforce as far as saving the trees. But it's a good point, but I don't think it's anything we can enforce per the guidelines. And as far as the other thing that was brought up about the footers, I guess that would be something that codes would have to verify, and that would be the people to be alerted for that.
Yes. We were notified this morning and have gone by and looked and didn't see anything that looked like something that we would have to review. But maybe the applicant could address that if you're interested.
They're building a wall in the corner there by the...
Could you come to the microphone? Thank you.
At the corner of the house, right there by the screen porch, we're going to build a masonry wall there instead of a wood fence. But it's on our property. We're not building on anybody else's property.
It is not. It is it is directly on the property line.
Well, I think what, and I don't know, legal, you might chime in, but I think if you want it to challenge it, I think it's something for the building codes to come out and verify it. That'll probably be the best way to deal with it. That way that they have more of the authority to handle, going over the property line, if I'm correct. So I would definitely, encourage you just to follow up with them because they have the authority for it.
And the property's been surveyed and fairly clearly staked, so if there's any, and we're all very sensitive to those, so if something's not